Any interesting details that make you stand out?
I stand out wherever I am. I'm 6'5" and bald-headed. I stand out no matter where I am, but I'm the kind of person that when I'm in a crowd of people, the people are around me. And I've always been kind of the center of attention. And so I definitely stand out, and of course my ability to draw people into me. And I bring them to me, whether it be with my humor or with trying to teach them something, or just downright just my demeanor that says, hey, I'm here, look at me.
What's your favorite topic of conversation in a social setting?
My favorite topic of conversation would have to be my family, my children. There's nothing I love more in life than them.
Where do you get your recipes, and how do you put your own personal twist on them?
To be honest, my wife and I, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 or 3,000 cookbooks. We collect cookbooks. We go through those, but a lot of the recipes that we come up with for our cooking school, we actually come up with them. I mean, we make them from scratch. We start out and we say, we're going to do this, but we don't have a recipe for this. Well, we write one. We actually have wrote a cookbook. And so we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 different recipes that we actually wrote and have in the cookbook.
If you complete this sentence, if I were an ingredient, I would be, and why?
I think if I could be in a particular ingredient, I would be a chipotle pepper. And the reason being is because it enhances the flavor of just about anything that goes into it. It can be from extremely mild to, oh my God, it's just right in there. And that's just basically like me. I can be very mild, I can be very serene, and at the next moment I can be just in your face, this is how it's going to be.
Sum up your baking or culinary point of view.
My culinary point of view. I live my life for cooking and baking. I'm my happiest when I'm actually making cakes, when I'm being creative and I'm in the kitchen and I'm being able to put a piece of me into this cake and making this art. That's when I'm the happiest. And I think that if everybody got together and made cakes, this world would be a whole lot better place.
Are you competitive in nature?
I'm extremely competitive in nature. In fact, every day, if you're not competitive, you're going to be kicked to the curb and run over. And so you have to be extremely competitive in everything that you do. And, being a male, I'm just kind of naturally competitive, but when it comes to just about anything I do, it doesn't matter. I have to try to catch the biggest fish. I have to race the fastest car. I have to have the prettiest wife and the best children. And so, just about everything that I do, I am competitive in.
If you're up against other contestants, will you be competitive in order to win?
Oh, you betcha. It's if there's cash and prizes involved, or just for the sheer fact of bragging rights, to say that I was better. Not necessarily, I don't like to say that I'm better than somebody else, but that I excelled in that particular competition or something. And I did it. I'll give it my best, no matter what it is. I'll put 110% into it.
How do you handle stressful situations?
Well, as you can see, I'm bald, and so I pull all my hair out. Actually, that's not true. Competitive, let's see, stressful. It's all, I work for a church, and there's 2,700 members, and owning your own catering company, just the day-to-day grind of what's going on, it is extremely stressful, and you just have to handle it I'm a natural leader. And so I'm able to take and pretty much like triage, and I can go through and I can look and say, this is the most important thing that we need to do. This is secondary, and weed through it. And by the end of the day, or the end of the situation, I've gone through it, and the stress level is just minimized by doing that kind of stuff. And then at the very end, I'm able to just stop and process what I've done, gone over the situation, and if I might have changed this or changed that, in case that situation ever arises again, I will know how to hit it and tackle it head on with a little bit more knowledge that I had prior.
Describe the most stressful time in your life and how you handled it.
The most stressful time in my life, well, it's a toss-up. There was two of them, actually. The one, my wife got spinal meningitis and came about that close to dying. And I had two very young boys. And she was in the hospital just about on death's door. And I'm looking at my life saying, wow, here I am. I'm going to have two boys. I'm going to be a widower. That's stress for you right there. That was a rough time, very rough time in my life. And we pulled through that. Everything's been great, but then the most stressful as far as a cooking situation, I was asked to do a benefit for a young lady who had cancer. She was 12 years old and didn't have enough money to pay her bills. So I agreed to do a green chili enchilada supper for benefiting her bills. So long story short, we agreed on doing 1,000 plates. They were going to print up 1,000 tickets. And I was going to cook all this myself, which isn't that hard with your prep work. And everything was going fine. An hour, exactly 1 hour to time to start serving. The lady who was heading up the particular organization, she walked in and she says, oh, by the way, we messed up and we accidentally printed another 1,000 tickets and sold them. So my 1,000 went to 2,000 and I had 1 hour to try to come up with an extra 1,000 enchilada dinners. So at that point, after I got my heart beating again and I swallowed back down everything, I went to the store, I bought every tortilla, I bought all the meat, I bought everything that I could possibly buy in our town. I just went from store to store to store. The actual event was going to be going on for 3 hours, so I knew that at the very end it was going to be the crunch point. But I started cooking, starting to get everything going. At the very end, we ended up feeding 1,800 people. So we had 200 people that basically didn't show up, but I got them all fed in a 4-hour period. It was extremely stressful. The police came in, they said we had 4 wrecks. We had several minor fender benders. We backed traffic up for absolute miles all around the place for people wanting to come in and support. Made the newspapers. And when everything was said and done, I got everybody fed. I walked down the hallway, and a friend of mine was standing in the hallway, and I collapsed in her arms and started crying. And that was the most stressful situation in time. But I kept thinking about the little girl and the reason we were doing it. We got through it, and I can now look back upon that again and say, all right, if I ever did this, this is what we would do, and we would know exactly how many tickets we were going to print up ahead of time. So that was probably the worst situation I've been in to date for cooking.
What does baking or cake decorating mean to you? Has it ever gotten you through a hard time?
Oh, yes. It means everything to me. I mean, I just dearly love it. I can go in there, I can be stressed out or just having a hard day in general, and I can go in and start baking the cakes. And really when I start playing with the fondant and the gum paste, and I get to create. That's where I get to start sculpting and doing more of the actual hands-on, not just baking the cake. I lose myself, and I start to use that as almost a Zen experience to where I kind of just let everything go, and the only thing that matters is the cake. I turn the radio on, and I just start jamming out and making the cake, and I love it. It's a creative outlet for me.
Why do you want to be on the show?
Why do I want to be on this show? I don't really want to be one of those people that sits around and they look at their life and they're like, well, you know, I'm an old person, I'm about ready to die. What if? What if I never went on that show? I'm not that kind of a person. I want to be one of those people that says, you know what? I went on that show. I tried it. I gave it my best. I gave it 110%. And I'll either go on the show and make a flop, or I'll go on that show and I will kick butt and take names, and you guys will be happy that you had me on there.
Why should we pick you for this show, and what makes you unique and different than others?
They broke the mold after they made me, pretty much. I mean, I put the eek in unique, and pretty much what they say. You will definitely, you pick me, you get me up there, and you'll definitely see why I'm unique, because there's just absolutely nobody else like me.